I'll give a definition of discipleship for us. Discipleship, or like, how do we walk with Jesus? What does it look like, this life of faith? Uh, I like this phrase, it's responsibility without anxiety. Specifically, the kind of anxiety that my brother texted me. Tyler, do I have to do something to go to heaven? No, there's no anxiety here. But we're also not passive in our faith. We are called to trust in God's work fully on our behalf, and then to participate fully in that work. And sometimes you can almost see that as a pendulum between two poles. In my own life, as I'm reflecting this week, I can tell that there's been seasons where I've drifted to one side or the other too far. And so if there's fully my work on one side and fully God's work on the other side, there's been times earlier on in my faith where I felt like it was all up to me. And I had drifted over to it's everything's on my shoulders. And so my faith was filled with anxiety and fear. Like, oh, I have to earn this. I have to do more. I have to do better. I'm not doing good enough. God is going to reject me. And so there was this intense fear, this anxiety that said, I have to take on more responsibility. I have to do more to prove to God that I'm worthy. And so if we drift into that camp and we forget that God's at work, we have a faith that's rooted in anxiety. But there's been seasons where I've drifted too far to the other side to say, oh, God's at work. I mean, I don't have to do anything. It's so great. I can just be passive. I can be apathetic. I don't need to share my faith with others because God is sovereign and he's going to choose the people he wants anyway. I don't need to give because God is sovereign and he'll just make the church grow without me. I don't need to be a part of that. I don't even need to pray all that much because God's going to do what God's going to do anyway. Sometimes I've prayed prayers that were kind of like half-hearted prayers that just said, God, let your will be done. But it was a way of saying, God, I just want to absolve myself of responsibility. Whatever you do, you can do. And honestly, both of those extremes don't do justice to the gospel. The gospel is God started it all. It is fully him. It is all grace. There is nothing that you did to earn his favor. And he set you free to fully participate in this life of faith. I can actually take on, okay, what responsibility do I have today? God, what gifts have you given me? How have you blessed me? And how are you calling not just me, but us as a church to participate in your mission out there in the world? What do you want me to do to bless the lives of others, to actually participate, to pray, to give, to worship, to serve? What kind of sacrifice are you inviting me into? Not to earn some status, but as a response of this incredible relationship God has given us. It's fully God and fully us. And it's this paradox that we just hold as this mystery. It's hard to kind of sit right there in the middle, I think. As I was trying to reflect, like that's a hard mystery to just always be aware of and try to sit right in the middle. And so maybe we use this as a pastoral guide, a way of framing our prayers. Even this week, you could do this, to stop and say, okay, this week in my life, am I drifting toward one pole or the other? When I feel like it's all on my shoulders, it's all up to me and I have to earn, I am not doing enough for God. I need to preach this gospel to myself that says, no, God started the work and he is faithful to complete the job that he started. You can rest. You don't have to be anxious. And so when I start to feel that anxiety well up, I need to preach that message to myself. And when I start to go to the other side and say, oh, I don't actually have to do much. I don't have to participate. I don't have to commit because God's got this. I need to preach the gospel to myself that says, no, the vineyard needs tending. You need to get out there. You need to till the soil. You need to disciple people. You need to serve and exercise the gifts that God has actually given you. You have a job to do. God has set you free to be a part of his life. And so maybe there's a way to just apply that to our lives this week. Where are you drifting toward one side or the other? And is God calling you to come back to the center? Say, it's all God and it's all me. God, where do you want me to serve this week? I do want to add maybe a pastoral encouragement. If I were to drift toward one side or the other, if I were to just move the needle just slightly, I would err toward God's sovereignty. Maybe that's because I really like being a Reformed Presbyterian, but if I were to move the needle just slightly, err toward God is the one who started it. because it is. Grace started it. Grace is what is our foundation, and God is the one who called you to himself. And so rest yourselves in that first and foremost, but don't go so far as to forget God actually gives me a responsibility. He wants me to participate. He has a role for each and every one of us.